explosion.
Have you got a favourite poem? Is the one that's sort of lurking there in the back of your head? I suppose most of us have got something somewhere. What about also seeing poetry performed live? A lot of excitement involved in that. Well, the Cheltenham Poetry Festival started last year. It's back. It's bigger. This year, it's 8 days long. It starts tomorrow. Mix of workshops, performances, films, visual events, and even food as well, I believe. Anyway, let's find out more from the festival organiser, Anna Saunders, and also in the studio with me, Joy Amy Wigman, who you might have heard of before, actually. She's worked as a stand-up comic before, and she's going to be doing some performance poetry. And you write, do you, Joy Amy, as well? You write poetry?
I do, unfortunately, yeah.
Good, so we'll hear some of it in the next
Yes.
5 minutes. So, Anna, welcome back.
Hello.
It must have been a success last year, because you wouldn't do it again otherwise.
It was. Actually, this is our third year.
Is it? Sorry.
Yes, and it's bigger and better than even last year. We've got over 100 poets and performers this year, and it's not just the traditional internationally acclaimed poets reading. We've also got films, workshops, comedy, all sorts of things going on, even some bongo classes, belly dancers, so something for everyone. It's quite a wide programme this year.
So someone listening might think, what's that got to do with poetry?
Well, we like to take poetry as a starting point and then work with that. So, for example, we've got an Arabian Nights creative writing class where we've got the chance to channel your inner princess or prince, and we've got belly dancing at that event. And also we've got drum workshops, because obviously you can look at the rhythm of poetry with drums, and poetry cinema, which takes poets such as Ivor Gurney or stand-up contenders around the country, and we're showing some great documentary and creative films about poetry. So
great. So there's lots going on.
There is.
And I mean, I saw one here that caught my eye. Tribute to Bob Dylan in words and music. And
that's going to be a wonderful event, because we've got lots of Bob Dylan events going on in Cheltenham this weekend with the record day at Badlands. But what we're doing is we are celebrating a book called The Captain's Tower by ex-Cheltenham resident Phil Bowen, and we're going to have a tribute to Bob Dylan in poetry, some great poems written by Simon Armitage, Caroline Duffy, and also some local performers performing some Dylan classics.
And if you don't know what Record Store Day is, by the way, stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you more about that between now and midday today. The thing is, isn't it, some of us learn a bit of poetry at school, we learn about poetry at school, and then perhaps we don't experience it again until later in life, or perhaps we don't even think about experiencing it again.
I don't know, I think people experience it without actually quite realising that they are, because lyrics to your favourite songs, it's poetry.
True.
It's how it starts. It just so happens to be set to music. It still has a rhythm, it still has a point behind it. Especially, I have a lot of discussions with people about how rap music it's essentially poetry for a new generation. And I mean, even if it's not your kind of thing, just listening to how intricate it is, and the rhythm and the use of things like alliteration, the juxtaposition, and all the beautiful things that poets look at, you can find there.
That's true.
Why is it so pleasing to the ear? Is it because of that? I mean,
I think poetry is an economy of language, so you've got less words invested with more power. And as Joy Amy said, we've got hip-hop is nowadays a kind of urban poetry. And poetry, I think if you say you don't like poetry, it's almost like saying you don't like music, because there's so much under the term poetry. We've got Joy Amy, who's a very funny stand-up poet, as well as a serious poet. We've got slam poets, hip-hop, as we said, all kinds of things under the name poetry.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, sort of quality, not quantity. You know, you're using economy of words, as you said, so it's concentrated, isn't it?
It is.
It makes you think as well. I always love sort of just hearing something and then you think, that was interesting. I need to think about that. You know, so let's do that right now. Let's give you something to think about.
Right.
Joy Amy, you're going to do something for us now. Tell us about this poem.
Well, this is a new poem that I've written, and I've wiggled it ever so slightly to make it more appropriate for a daytime audience.
And before Joy Amy performs, can I just very quickly say Joy Amy is one of the competitors in the War of the Words Slam that's running tomorrow night in Cheltenham. It's going to be a great spoken word standoff.
Wow, okay.
Right, okay. You didn't ask my permission. What the hell do you think you're doing? Obviously, I'm in this thing alone. You can't just wait until a document is very near complete and then decide to switch yourself off on your own. That's right, go all quiet now. You're an inanimate box of wires with a switch. But you're happy to gain sentience and randomly move formulas one cell left, you Hewlett-Packard witch. Is there some kind of inanimate object society poised on the brink of revolution? Envelopes, doorknobs, laptops, lamps, whose vendetta-driven club constitution is to drive me Thunderbird chuff-begging nuts just attempting the simplest of jobs? Is their success measured by me banging my head on the desk or by how many chocolate-muffled sobs? Because whenever I try to put headphones in my pocket, they awaken and writhe and they grow. Within minutiae they plot, and when I slide out my hand, the Goram things just won't let go. Receipts I need to keep grow legs and run off to Haiti to start new careers, while the ones I don't need leap from handbags in droves and bury me up to my ears. Toilet door locks snap off while I'm trapped inside and an unholy smell has appeared. And I'm desperate to go, but as soon as I'm trapped, the loo roll has vamoose disappeared. And when I pull down my jeans, my phone yells, yippee, and swan dives from my back pocket. And with my fist in the bowl trying to fish out the phone, the door then decides to unlock it and swing open, revealing shocked, frozen faces who've heard me screaming, come back! If you don't stop splashing about right now, I'm putting your SIM card through my digestive tract! And maybe I'm just paranoid, but I'm sure when there's no one there, the hallway light blinks off, and I always trip on a non-existent extra stair. Perhaps you all think I've lost it. Fine, strap me down to the bed that I'm led on. But don't come crying to me with a spoon in your eye when begins inanimate Armageddon.
That's really well done.
Sorry, the sneeze coming there.
The thing that's interesting about that, I suppose, because you've worked as a stand-up comic and you're obviously using observations for that kind of material. Do you find it easier or harder, Joy Amy, to put it into a poem?
Actually, I think I find it easier. I think normally what happens with me is I'll get a line in my head of something that I want to say that embodies the poem, and that one line will give me the whole rhythm for the whole piece.
Brilliant.
Which is fantastic, and you build from there, and it's normally a line somewhere in the middle. It's not even the start or the beginning.
And do you actually read from text when you're performing? No, so you've got to memorise it.
Always in my head. I like to perform it. And if you want to come and see me do a nice long set, you can come and find me at Café Rouge on Thursday at 6 o'clock, I believe, at the Smart Move
Spoken Word Cabaret.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well,
And yes,
that gives us a perfect
night.
opportunity to say, find out more about all the events at the website. That's probably the best thing to do.